Okay, it's almost actually it just turned 12:01. I was about to say it's almost 12:01. Let's do this. So here we go. Welcome everyone. 15 minutes of positivity. Let's park all of our all of our stuff and let's put it aside just for a few minutes. And today's theme is resilience. One of my heroes that makes a regular appearance here on this group is Nelson Mandela. Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Coming from a guy who, was incarcerated for 27 years, basically the majority of his adult life, and was able to come out the tail end of that and, really sort of establish a government and a whole philosophy of just forgiveness and reconciliation and let's move on is rather impressive. So the question is, how does someone like this do what he did? And I think the answer is resilience. If you've ever been up to Yosemite, where this picture is from, there's an amazing number of plants and lichen and trees and bushes and all kinds of stuff that just grows out of the most incredible places in the harshest conditions. And it's, life wants to happen. Life wants to be. And, so resilience, I think, is a pretty important skill for us to learn. So definition here: the ability to adapt and recover in the face of adversity, threats, or significant sources of stress. And by definition, something like PTSD, or post-traumatic stress injury, PTSI, has to do with when the nervous system is overwhelmed and just doesn't have the ability to really recover or adapt to what has happened. And so, that's the scar that we're then left with. And there are, of course, different types of resilience. There's psychological resilience. How do we engage with difficult thoughts, sad thoughts, scary thoughts? And then obviously we're emotional beings. So there's a constant stream of feelings and emotions running through our body. There's sensations. You stub your toe and suddenly your morning looks very different than it did 6 seconds ago before you stubbed your toe. So, our ability to bounce back from that is pretty key. And then social relational, our ability to get along with others and forgive and move on. And, that's the resilience there. There are three things that I want to focus on. The first one is I want to join this group. This looks like Northern California somewhere. I don't know where I found this picture, but they are bouncing. So that's sort of the first skill of resilience, is our ability to bounce back. So we're operating at a baseline, some kind of an insult, something happens that throws us. Someone looks at us funny, says something obnoxious, and now we're triggered. So our ability to kind of like work with that and bounce back up to, okay, I'm good. I can keep moving through my day, versus it taking days, or sometimes in my experience, it's taken me weeks, even months to get over stuff, feeling slighted or hurt somehow. Then the second skill here is grit. So having the best way I know how to describe this is just sort of a thick skinnedness, not letting the little bumps and issues in life get through to us and sort of activate something in our core, but rather our ability just to be able to not even let that permeate us. So the ability to maintain a sense of composure, perspective, and perseverance while going through a difficult experience. And then really importantly, the third skill is the reframe, the cognitive reframe. So often what keeps us stuck in this, hours later, I'm still ruminating and still perseverating on what happened. Or like I said, even days or even weeks later, is this narrative that, our brains turns everything into a story. And if the story is, "Oh, I can't believe that person did that and they should have, or they shouldn't have, and how dare they," and so on. We stay stuck in that. It can be really, really challenging. So the ability to reframe and say, well, maybe something else actually was going on for them, or maybe there's a different way, different perspective for me to take with this, is the third core skill of resilience. So let's practice. Let's do it for 10 minutes. So start by closing our eyes. I instinctively take a deep breath in just to ground myself in my body. Maybe see if you can take some really intentional, slow breaths, attuning to the body here and now. If you can, hear the sound of breath coming and going. So notice what breath sounds like as it passes through your nostrils and your throat. Noticing how the body knows exactly what to do. It doesn't need us to think about breathing or decide how quickly to breathe. It just happens all on its own. Maybe taking a quick physical inventory, noticing your feet, your lower body, connected to the pelvis, connected to the spine, imagining all of the organs packed into your torso, all the way up to the neck and the skull, the brain. Now bring to mind a situation that was challenging for you, something that maybe stuck with you for a few hours or even days. So don't, on a 10-point scale, don't pick a 9 or a 10. Pick something that's in the 5 or 6 range. So something that was troubling, upsetting, but not completely devastating. And let's explore what it means to be in that situation with some resilience. So first start off just going back in memory and noticing what happened, who did what, how did you react? In some ways noticing maybe from a big picture perspective, what's the price that you paid for this reaction? And again, your body, your mind, everything just got activated. It's not necessarily something you did, but simply notice how being activated in that way, is it stressful? Is it peaceful? And then notice your reaction. Like, what did you do? What did you say? How did you behave once the event happened? And how did it feel an hour later? How did it feel the next day? How does it feel right now? And now imagine you get a replay, you get a redo, you get to time travel back to that very same situation, but now you've got your resilience cloak on. And the first thing is bounce. So imagine yourself being in that situation. What would it take to just bounce back a little faster? What is it that you need to get square with on the inside in order to allow you to simply bounce back and not let the situation haunt you or to trouble you. And then let's add in the second layer of grit. Imagine you have this invisible yet thick skin protecting you. And just notice whatever the situation was, how would your experience be different if you had a thicker skin in that moment? Not taking things so personally, maybe letting go of some sense of righteous indignation. Maybe just shrug your shoulders and say, yeah, okay. And then the third part of resilience is the reframe. So staying with that situation, notice what your mind is telling you, or maybe your mind is screaming at you. How dare they? How could they? How rude. What what would it take to reframe the situation, to view it through a different lens, still staying safe, still staying boundaried? I'm not suggesting you become a doormat in this, but at the same time, just kind of looking at it from a different angle and just saying, okay, well, maybe something's going on for them, or maybe I don't need to react in this way. Maybe I have other options or choices available to me in this moment that are healthier. And then zooming out a little bit, kind of looking at this situation, this memory, and noticing yourself with a little more bounce, a more grit, and the ability to reframe and change the narrative. And just notice how that changes your perspective on this experience. Imagine if you could wear this resilience armor throughout the rest of your life, other experiences that you've had. And take a deep breath in, exhale slowly, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another deep inhale, long exhale, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes. Come on back to the session. Hope that was helpful. A little resilience reminder. And also a reminder that I have for you is I've been actually post things on various social media channels pretty much on a daily basis. So in addition to doing these groups, there's also little snippets, sometimes videos, sometimes other reminders. If that is at all compelling for you, feel free to check out, CIT Clinics or Oli on whatever social media you use, and yeah, subscribe or participate in that. So hope that was helpful. Take care, everyone. See you tomorrow.